Uh, Hi, today I want to discuss about Spring Boot with MyBatis integration. We all know the MyBatis one of the good, the framework where you can actually uh, join the MyBatis SQL queries with SQL code data layer with your application. So we use the MyBatis. So what is the MyBatis? First, let us go and understand what is MyBatis, and then I'll explain Spring Boot. You can see here the MyBatis is a Java persistent API. Okay, it is one of the JPAs, right? We heard about the Hibernate is one of the generally the JPA we use to map the data to entities to get that, and we know that, right? Using a Spring Boot, we actually integrate the Hibernate jar in the pom.xml file, then dependency, we include the dependency and we will create entities and we will map that. But here MyBatis is also Java persistent framework. It simplifies the data operations by automating mapping SQL statements to Java. So here in the MyBatis, we it is also one of the ORM kind of framework, but unlike other ORM framework, MyBatis uses custom SQL, giving you direct control over the database queries and performance. So if you use MyBatis, you can write complex queries, even custom SQL queries on your own, right? That is the advantage of MyBatis here. I worked on this projects, some couple of projects using MyBatis, where we are able to write very complex SQL queries inside XML file, and they are straightforward native queries, right? You can write a straightforward native queries in SQL language, and then you can map that SQL query to any POJO. That way, it will get that, right. Ultimately, our scenario, we want to map a data to POJO. So POJO object or entity, we can do it using this MyBatis, right? XML and annotation support, within your code, dynamic SQL. It provides a powerful way to build dynamic SQL statement based on some condition. So that is possible. Sometimes you want to pass some data, dynamically, and you want to get a data. So in those scenarios also MyBatis is very useful. It is very lightweight and flexible. MyBatis is very lightweight ORM kind of framework, right? It is not very heavy and complex like a Hibernate. And MyBatis was formerly known as iBatis and was completely refactored what is now MyBatis framework. So how it works, you need to have a configuration file, right? You configure the mapping of your Java objects and SQL statements using XML descriptor file or annotations. So mapper interface, you create a Java interface that represents the database operations. So you also need to create an interface and SQL execution. When you call a method on the mapper interface, MyBatis uses associated XML array to execute the statements. Okay, so simple. You need to create a one XML descriptor file in which you write all your SQL statements, and you need to create an interface another thing. So in the interface you specify the method, Java interface. You generally call SQL statements from those methods. I will show you an example how you can use it. So here you see here an example. We are actually using the dependencies of MyBatis. Spring Boot is providing a lot of the MyBatis dependencies, and we are using SQL connector. You can see here example. I don't want to go deeper into Spring Boot because I already explained what is Spring Boot in one of my videos. You can check that out. So configuration, you see, we need to create configurations of database connections. So I'm giving my database connections here in my application dot properties file. And mapper interface, you have to create a mapper interface by annotating with the mapper annotation, and then you can specify the methods, right? JPA methods. You simply see here, user find by ID, and select, we are specifying the select queries. You see here, it is a straightforward SQL native queries that were written on top of SQL. And then send your Spring Boot application can discover your mapper interface. So here we are directly specified all these queries on top of interface itself. We have not used XML here, right? We have not used any XML. So directly, see, you can use annotations directly, and methods links to external to mapper file. So I'll also show how we can use XML, but for now you see an example here. We have directly used these queries here, right? So you can check this out. Okay, let me check define Java interfaces. Hmm. Uh, Now we have written two methods, and we can simply uh, okay, and this is a Spring Boot starting application. Okay, now let me check MyBatis with XML example. Okay, now you see here, we created a Pojo, and we created a mapper interface. You see here, mapper interface is here, and create a XML file. Now we are creating a XML for this mapper interface. So it is a user for, because we are defining a persistent API for user model. So I need a user mapper interface. I need a user mapper.xml file, right? I'll place this under the resources folder. You can see here. So inside the resources folder, you can specify all the select queries. You can see whatever the methods you declared in the mapper interface, user mapper interface. You need to specify all the select queries here, and you need to specify the result map. When the select query is returning some result, and you can specify it there. So that way you can get the data and you can return it. So it will automatically return the data and map the result set to the corresponding Pojo. Okay, that is the important thing here. So the main application is a common for Java application. We have used a mapper scan. Okay, here for enabling component scanning here. So it is in a service layer. You can simply see we are just calling the JPA methods just like we call in the Hibernate framework. It is very straightforward. The only difference is here the XML file. So inside the XML file, you can actually create all these uh, queries, and then you can actually map these queries here. Okay. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope you understood what is this MyBatis.